The war in the Middle East, meanwhile, continues to race on. Israel has turned its focus from Gaza to Lebanon, carrying out relentless attacks on allies of its enemy number one, which is Iran. In the last 2 weeks, Israel has launched a wave of airstrikes in Lebanon that has killed more than 1,000 civilians. It has also dealt a mortal blow to the Hezbollah, whose entire top command, including its leader Hassan Nasrallah, have been eliminated. Today, once again, an Israeli airstrike pierced through Lebanon's capital, Beirut. Israel once again said it is mulling a ground invasion of Lebanon. Israel's prime minister is saying a new balance of power is being created in the Middle East with its offensive and targeted killings. But ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing. History teaches us to be skeptical. In 1982, the US invaded Lebanon and led to the birth of the Hezbollah. In 2003, our television sets, you remember, beamed the US bombed the hell out of Iraq. Saddam Hussein was eliminated, but there was no flowering of liberal democracies in the region, if that was the hope. Then during the 2006 Israel Hezbollah war, the US Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice had grandly and famously said, "We are witnessing the birth pangs of a new Middle East." But that is hardly how it panned out. So, question is it too early to predict the end of the Hezbollah? I'm putting that question to my guest, Talmiz Ahmad. He's a career diplomat who has served extensively in the region and studies it closely. Thank you, sir, for coming all the way to the studio. First things first, since the Prime Minister has just had a call with his Israeli counterpart and the Prime Minister is saying that everything must be done to ensure peace, is India in a position to influence anything at all? Because Israel, by the looks of it, is not interested. I mean, when the Americans and the French were talking about ceasefire, Israel was happily bombing Lebanon. Are they really interested in peace? And can India do anything about it?
Israel has no interest whatsoever in a ceasefire at this point. It has seen over the last year the international community do its best in terms of resolutions at the United Nations, various International Court of Justice, OIC, Arab League, everybody. Nobody has been able to stop Israel. President Biden personally put his prestige on the line and announced a peace plan, calling it an Israeli peace plan. And Netanyahu said it is not our peace plan at all and we don't accept it. This happened in May. In the month of August, again, there was a peace plan and Netanyahu shrugged it off. My sense is that Netanyahu has a two-point agenda. The first is personal and domestic. He is being criticized severely by the Israelis for the failure of 7th October.
Correct.
And he needs to atone for that.
Correct. Plus, he has corruption charges against him.
Yes. He has to kill these high-profile people. Killing large numbers of Palestinians, 42,000, doesn't atone for that. Killing these high-profile people whose names are well known in Israel, basically he's giving the message to his people that what I failed to do on 7th October, I have made up for that. And I have killed all these people, I have made you safer, therefore I'm ready to be forgiven by you. This is the first point to be noted. The second is the regional scenario. Netanyahu's assessment is that he has never had such a golden opportunity to address simultaneously all the issues that have agitated Israel. So Israel has been subjected to various plans, two-state solution, one-state solution, have this peace, and you remember Camp David one,
correct,
and all that. Now he feels this point, the American administration totally paralyzed in the throes of an election. He feels that this is the time to take out all his enemies. And Hamas, Hezbollah, he is now desperately anxious for Iran to be pulled in.
That was my second question. Do you see that happening? Because the Wall Street Journal is reporting that 60 feet under the ground, in the bunker where the Hezbollah chief was, there was a meeting of top commanders that were discussing how to retaliate to Israel's airstrikes, given the fact that Iran is asking them to restrain themselves? Do you think, therefore, do you think that Iran, which is right now being led by a moderate president, will be pulled into this conflict? Because if they do, then God save us.
What Netanyahu would like, as opposed to what he actually does, what he would like is to kill a senior Iranian so that Iran is forced to enter war. See, Iran has been subjected to sanctions for 40 years. It has a very poor conventional military force. No match for the Israelis, who have been backed by the Americans for the same 40-year period and given a state-of-the-art weaponry. So this is what he would like. But I think that wars are very unpleasant business, uncertain. You never know. You remember that there was the assassination in 1914 and you had a war for 5 years that killed several million people. You never know which way wars will go. You can't be sure that 1967 can be repeated so easily. Therefore, I think that as of now, he has achieved what he would like to do, emasculated Hezbollah. Hezbollah is the principal enemy as far as Israel is concerned. In fact, an Israeli general once said that they are the Arab people closest to us in terms of discipline, in terms of commitment, etc.
No, can I then ask you this? Do you believe, yes, Hezbollah's top leaders have been eliminated. These have been intelligence-based targeted killings. There is no doubt about that. But their leadership also seems to be flexible to me. Like, ye mara to, there is, for them to find another leader, it's a process that won't take too much time. Already there are some names doing the round. Do you feel it's too early for us to write the end of the Hezbollah here?
A new leader has already been announced. He's there in position. See, these are militant organizations. We call them non-state actors. Their norms and rules are different from conventional forces. They subsist on the basis of an idea. And an ideology. That idea becomes an ideology, it becomes a commitment, etc. Their logic is also different. They take casualties, very heavy casualties from time to time, but they don't give up on the idea and they don't give up on their ideology. Leaders come and go. Leaders is not important. Because they function in small groups, small cells. What do? They don't face armies. They are the ones who carry out attacks through bombings, suicide bombing, etc. These are different people. Their norms and rules are different. So I would say that Hezbollah has taken a very major mortal blow. There is no doubt about it. And this is quite spectacular and dramatic as well. Israel has proclaimed its technological superiority. It has also indicated that its armed forces are lethal. But who are they fighting? They are fighting non-state actors and they are killing very large number of civilians and ordinary people. In Gaza, 70% of the people dead are women and children. What is the great achievement? What is the strategic achievement for the great Israeli armed force? Yes, targeting individuals is one thing and has a certain dramatic value. It gives you a boost at home for a while. You remember 10 years after 9/11, the Americans killed Osama bin Laden. He had no strategic value whatsoever. He's an isolated individual living in a kind of sanctuary. He was killed. But for the Americans, they were elated.
Correct.
And for the president, 10 years after 9/11, his career was over. So I would say that these killings of individuals, assassinations, are a charge for leaders and give a certain domestic value for a short period, but have no long-term strategic value.
I'm just going to pull you back to the thread you mentioned. You said what Netanyahu at this point of time would probably like is that one senior leader from Iran is killed. The Ayatollah has already gone into hiding. He's been taken to a safe place. My point to you is, given the fact that the Ayatollah is in hiding nahi, chalo, he's in a safe place. They've taken him to a safe, secure place. Given the fact that the president in Iran right now is considered a moderate, is this the time to then incentivize normalizing Iran, somehow bringing them back into the fold? Because Russia is already saying that we fear there is going to be a full-scale war here. And if that happens, I'm thinking of our energy needs, 80% met from there.
My own sense is Israel has no interest whatsoever in normalizing ties with
नहीं,
Iran.
ये तो अमेरिका को करना पड़ेगा ना?
Now, the United States has a very long way to go. Its political order is deeply polarized and dysfunctional. It has not indicated the capacity for intellectual vibrancy for a very long time, for more than 20 years. It is breaking apart, actually. And unko apne haal pe chhod do. But see, Iran has had such moderate leaders in the past. There has been Khatami, there has been Rouhani. There have been people who have wanted to work. But Israel needs Iran as the enemy. Otherwise, how is it going to work with the Americans? It has now poisoned the American mind by telling them that Iran is your mortal enemy, and most Americans believe that. It has now penetrated even the political establishment. So there is no way you're going to find any American political leader looking to normalize ties with the Iranians. Not just yet. It'll take a very long time. It needs leadership of the kind that is not apparent in the United States today, and certainly not in Israel.
Okay, my last question to you, sir, is this. Why should India pray like hell that there is no war in the Middle East? Our energy concerns are
India
there,
has
plus there is the
every
corridor.
reason to worry very deeply. Energy is obvious, 80%. 80%. Trade, investment, our people, 8 million people. India has crucial interests of the kind that taken together no other country has. Nobody has 8 million people living there.
Correct.
They are number one trade partner and source of investment. Whatever is going on at home. India is the one country also that has the longest possible engagement with this region, 5,000 years, right from the time of Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, an uninterrupted relationship that has been constantly refreshed and there is a deep sense of mutual comfort. And India has never interfered in the politics of the region, therefore our status is very high. We have friends all across the region. Therefore, we are, I would argue to you, extremely well placed to initiate a diplomatic process. The sad fact is that we have not shown any interest in that regard. The kind of assets we have, people like me, there have been many scholars who have written on this, that India should lead a diplomatic process for promoting peace in the region.
But, I'm just thinking to myself, have we heard from India after Hassan Nasrallah's killing? We haven't heard from the top three, right? We haven't heard from the Prime Minister, from Amit Shah, neither have we heard from the Foreign Minister. Do you think that is deliberate? And when it comes to India, will Iran be willing to listen? We have had a relationship that has gone up and down. It's not entirely unpleasant. Would Iran, and more importantly, Israel, that is simply not interested in peace right now, be willing to listen? Which is why probably India feels
ongoing war doesn't always present a good opportunity. But reflecting on peace should not be ruled out. What India should do, I know what it has not done, and I regret that very deeply. I don't think that there is ever a time when you can say it's too late. There's always time available if you have the right intention and the mental and intellectual commitment. You need patience. You need to work with people, bring people on board. What we should be doing now, given the fact that we have relations, we have credibility, I also feel we should bring on board certain players who carry credibility in the region, countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, or whatever. At least let us start thinking of it. Even if you can't go to the field just now, at least start putting people together, starting talking about it. That has not been evident so far.
Okay, so you're saying it's never too late. If India wants, it can still intervene or at least start talking to people that, guys,
absolutely
ho
correct.
Gaya bahut. Now let's just come to the peace
absolutely
table.
Correct. That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Okay, Talmiz Ahmad. Thank you so much for coming to the studio, and we are really grateful for your perspective. Thank you so much.
I wish you all the best.